Welcome back to another episode of the Netbeans tutorials for the advanced. Now, today is another invention of ours that I actually kind of invented a while ago. Okay, there might be people that did this, but I know I did this by myself. So we're gonna get into it, and I'm gonna show you how this amazing tool works. Now, this docking system is kind of like Rocket Dock, but for your program. It goes on the top here, like a kind of a bar area in this section, and you'll have basically like a home, about, and etc, etc. And basically when you click the home button, it'll display something over here with a little picture if you want, but I'm just going to show you text in the center instead of just doing pictures and the text. It's going to be the same tutorial, and basically it's going to be the same code. So we're going to start off by grabbing our rectangular tool, and we're going to go to the top somewhere about here, and I'm going to make it that big. Okay, fail. This didn't work. I didn't use the rectangle tool, but anyway, you can use that. I'm just gonna shortcut this, and I've got like a black bar kind of thing, but I really want a white one, so I'm gonna switch to that. And what do you do afterwards? I'm just gonna edit this out a bit. You want to add this onto a new layer, by the way. Add this onto a new layer, and make this a bit smaller. There we go. Okay, wait, that's just the same. Hate the snap-on feature. There we go. Once that is done, you can see that it's like a bar at the top, like a website kind of thing, and we want to take off the side to make it look much better. So you want to grab your rectangular marquee tool, which is over here, and you want to hover over this little part here and select this area. Once that is done, you want to go to select, modify, feather. If you're using 72 pixels DPI, you want to feather it at 10. I'm not too sure what the others is because I'm not really using the others, but this is for programs and I use it this way. So you're going to feather it at about 10 and hit the delete key while this is activated, the layer 1, and it'll give it like a nice kind of feather kind of thing. I'm just going to move it a bit along. There we go. And I want to drop the opacity level down to about 60. 60 looks good. Let's confirm the 60. Now, once that is done, you can basically see that it has like a nice cool little thing going on and stuff. And now let me just zoom this in for you. And I'm gonna double click it and open my layer style, and go to bevel, and make sure this is set to 90. And I want to bump up the size until it gets nice and cool looking, just like a small thing to pull it apart from the program, and that looks pretty good. Afterwards, I'm gonna go down to my drop shadow. Make sure your distance is set to 0, and bump up the size, and it kind of pulls it apart from the GUI. And this purple GUI is just my template that I open up. I use it all for all the tutorials I do. I use this purple thing, so you know what's going on. So once that is done, I'm gonna add a home and about tab. So I'm gonna go select my text tool, click the center, and I'm gonna enter home. Now this font I'm using is called Kravitz. Now you can download this. I'll get the link for you, and I'll put in the description. And it's basically, it comes with these three. It's the normal one, which is like Arial, and then the thermal one is like Arial bold, and then the exothermal, which is like Arial black. But the font is really cool, as you can see. It like mixes up a bit of the capitals and lowercase letters, and it gives it a good feel. Afterwards, once you highlight this out, make sure the text is white, and you're gonna drop the size down to about what looks good there. 6 looks good. Afterwards, you're gonna move this over, just drag it on top of your bar. Make sure the layer is above it, obviously, otherwise you won't see it. And once that is done, you can basically see how it's looking. And I want to make this a bit smaller, so I'm gonna go 5, maybe 5. Yeah, 5 looks probably look good. Okay, 5 is looking amazing. So I'm gonna leave it there, and I'm gonna duplicate this layer. Click the auto select. What is this? I don't know the names, but yeah, it's this button. You're gonna hold on Shift, and make sure the copied layer is selected. Hold on Shift and just bump up the right key and just move it along. Now you can obviously add much more, but I'm not gonna do that because I'm just gonna show you a small bit of it, and then you can go and experiment and create your own ones. Now I know that some of you don't have Photoshop, so I'm gonna put this like bar thing, this docking system, in the description of a PNG, so you can just drag it into your program or edit it in Paint and just save over your text and stuff. and then put it into your program, and then program it like I would do later on. So after this, you wanna grab your text tool again and go to the second home and change this to about, obviously, because we have the about tab. Once that is done, you wanna make it look a bit cooler. So let's grab the rectangular tool again, make a little cool bar thing. That looks pretty good. And we're gonna rasterize this by right clicking and rasterizing layer. Go up to here-ish. Center this out with your arrow keys. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Yep. And I want to take this and I want to copy it and do the same by holding shift, and yeah, that looks pretty good. Afterwards, let's edit the text now. So we're gonna double click the home layer, open up layer styles again, and click the bevel. Make sure the settings I told you, like the angle is 90 and the size, just bump it up until we can just make out it a bit, make like a cool gradient effect it gives it. And I'm gonna go down to my drop shadow, give it a nice drop shadow, make sure the distance is set to 0, and I'm gonna give it something about there. Once it is done, you can just go ahead and hold on Control and Alt and click the FX button, which is effects obviously, and bring it over to the about, so that immediately adapts to these two and adopts it. So afterwards, what I want to do is I want to do the same to the two rectangular elements that I've added. So again, repeat the process, Control Alt, grab the effects, drag it up to the first layer. Once that is done, I'm gonna go ahead and add my text. So we're gonna need to make a text that fits over here. Now I'm just gonna do this in an example. So I'm gonna add text instead of pictures and stuff. So I've typed out a few for like home, which is this. Basically what you're gonna do is just gonna create a text boundary over here and then add your text in it. And then to see how this would actually look, the reason why I do this in a separate document is so I can drag it over and I can actually see what it would look like if I put it here. And it looks pretty cool, whatever. That's what it looked like. Now I'm gonna delete this quick, and I've got my text here, but now you can see that the advantage thing is kind of blocked off, so I'm gonna make it a bit smaller until it all, there we go. Oh man, now the information there. Oh, you know what, I'm just gonna bump that up. Oh my god. Anyway, I'm just, if you must be really good, you should be really good with text, better than me, of course, because I don't like using this text tool. I normally do it in a different program and bring it in. But anyway, now that's done, we're gonna save this. So I'm gonna take off my black layer, which is just for display. Take it off. And before we actually take this off, let's layer style this and make it a bit cooler. Oh my gosh. There we go. Photoshop gives me trouble sometimes. Afterwards, you wanna bevel and pose this thing. That looks pretty cool. Drop shadow. You're gonna bring it up to about 7 pixels. I know you can't see that, but yeah, it kind of stands out when you use it. So afterwards, I'm gonna save this as a PNG. So go down wherever your location is, save it as PNG, call it home PNG, it's fine. Save, press OK, and we can close this now. And yes, save the changes to a PSD file, whatever. Go down to the about, which I've created again, and I want to actually edit this as well so it doesn't stand out like the other one and look like all plain and stuff. So I'm gonna do the same thing so it looks good. Run about there-ish. Layer styles about 5, 7 actually, yes. Almost forgot that. Afterwards I want to take off my background layer and then save it as a PNG. Basically you're repeating the steps. Save it as about. Now that is done, you can close this file, save the changes, whatever. And we want to kind of crop this now, but before we do that, I'm going to create a nice cool little thing going on in the middle here so it doesn't look too plain. So I'm gonna grab my rounded triangular tool, just right click this, and we're gonna just drag it out till we get something like this. And gonna rasterize this, but before that let's just change this color to about like a grayish color, like that kind of color. If you want the color, it is this. Let me just show you quick. 383737. That is a code. Afterwards you can rasterize, and we're gonna center this layer because it's not centered, and click the layer while holding on Control and click the background layer, and then you go down to your move tool, and then you're gonna click this button at the top here, which will center it in the middle of the GUI, and then correct the axes, which is this button. Align the horizontal centers. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Afterwards, we're gonna edit this, so layer styles, bring it up again, double click, bevel and emboss. Let's bump up this. Let's bump that up here. Looks pretty good. Drop the white a bit, and just add a drop shadow. Always brings out the cool side of the program. Here's how this looks. What can we do here? Make it stand out. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now that is done, you can click OK, and let's bring in our text to see how it would look. So I'm gonna go open, and there's my two files that I've saved. Double hold on Control and select both, and click open. Now that is done. Now I'm gonna drag this home to the tutorial GUI or whatever GUI it was, and see that it doesn't fit. So we got a problem here. So I'm gonna go select this again, this rounded triangular thing, rectangular thing, sorry, and I'm gonna hold on Shift and Alt and bring this up a bit. That looks pretty good. Once that is done, you can see that it all blends nicely together, whatnot. See how it goes, and then we know that that is sorted, so we're gonna take this out. Let's try the about. This should fit. If it does, I'm gonna kill myself. Okay, fits perfectly. Afterwards you can just close it up, and I'm gonna save this GUI as let's save it as, actually let's take out this rectangular about and this. It's gonna group these by selecting all the layers just for the tab that is the stocking system, and just click the bottom one and hold on Shift and go to the last one, or you can just hold on Control and select them individually, and hold on Control and G to group them. Once that is done, you can just see that once I turn all of these on, I can just turn one group off and they'll all disappear. That makes life so much easier. Now that that is done, we can just save this GUI quick. Yeah, we're gonna save the GUI. Sorry, I just need to turn this back on. And we're gonna save this as tutorial GUI 3, and we're gonna make it a PNG. PNG is the best, kinda like it, better than JPEG. I've learned some stuff over it about my partner telling me that it's better for gradient and stuff, so yeah, we're gonna use that. Now once that is done, we can just go ahead and close Photoshop out. We don't need this anymore. You can go. Once that is closed, when I go down, and this is actually the Rocket Duck system I was telling you about now. Obviously the program doesn't have the cool animation stuff, but I'm going to be doing animation in Photoshop and tutorials soon, so if you want it, you can check that out. And we just want to open up Netbeans now. Okay, now that you can see that we have brought this into Photoshop, now, sorry, not Photoshop, Netbeans. And once it's in Netbeans, you can see that I have my old GUI here. So what you want to do is you want to add in your new GUI. So basically you want to go up to wherever you save the file and click it, go up to your home bar at the top, hover over the Netbeans IDE, and just bring it into your document here. Afterwards you want to just change this now, so just click the layer that it's selected on for the background and go down to icon up here in the property tab. If you don't have this here, you can just go up to window and click properties, whatever you want over here. But if you don't have that, you can just right click and go down to properties, and you'll be sorted. Afterwards you're gonna click this and just change this thing to whatever the name is, which is 3, and it close. Now once that is done, you can see that it's brought up this nice looking cool GUI that I developed. Afterwards, you can go down to your palette and get a label, a J label, and just spread it out from the top here. That looks pretty good. Just bring this above your background layer so you see it, and stretch this out along the tab over here. Afterwards, you can just take out the text, and you're done so far. So you just want to add the J label over the home button and bring it up, of course, so you can see it. Take away the text, and let's bring this down a bit because we have to. And basically this is going to create links, if you know what I mean, to the buttons, instead of just making individual buttons and bringing it into Netbeans. Let's bring this out a bit. Why aren't we making this easy for me? Once that is centered, which I'm going to do now, Netbeans obviously doesn't like me. There we go. Now that it's centered, we got our two layers at the top, and we got the center one, which is here. We're gonna bring in the two text field things that we added in before, so I'm gonna go up to wherever I saved it. Now that I've brought it into Netbeans, you can see that I have it here. You can use the same steps that I've done to basically create it. And now when you start up the program, it's set to be on the home tab. So I'm gonna set this as the icon as home PNG. Home is where the heart lies. Oh yeah. There you go. Now that it's there, once we click this, it's gonna bring up. We need to tell the program now that once we click this home button here, but you want to change the variable name to home, and then the next one obviously to about, and we're going to begin encoding now. So once we've done that, we're going to right click the home icon or J label, go to mouse, events, mouse, and then clicked. Once that is done, you want to input your code here to say that if it's clicked, which is what this is for, that it's going to do a command. So we're going to go here quick, right click this. I'll put the code into like a kind of text file so you can get it, and just obviously change the stuff around. And I'm going to paste this in here. Now this JLabel 12 we don't want. It's called no, it actually is called JLabel 12, sorry. That's actually, they're gonna say that once the home link is clicked, JLabel 12, which is the center plot for our text, is gonna change into the home. Yes, she's gonna change into a home PNG. Afterwards, you're gonna do the same for the about field. Do the same, and we're gonna click paste again. Copy paste. Story of my life. I'm gonna double click this and change it to about. So basically what's gonna happen is once we run this, so once this is opened up and running, basically this is what's gonna happen. Click the home, it'll change over here. Click the about and it'll change over here. So that concludes our tutorial, and the code will be in a text file, and also the new Netbeans 3 is out, so make sure you get that because our new tutorials is going to be in Netbeans 7.3, and have a great day.